Welcome back. In this lesson, we want to review a matrix organizational approach to managing your project. In the last lesson, we reviewed the advantages and disadvantages of using a functional organizational approach. As you recall, the functional approach has certain communication and coordination disadvantages. The next step along the continuum is the weak matrix organization for a project. In this case, most of the project management is still done by the functional managers. However, there is some recognition that greater coordination is required. In the weak matrix organization, one of the staff working on the project is asked to expedite the work process and communicate requirements. The project coordinator typically does not have authority to enforce requirements or control resources, but they can communicate across the organization without going through the functional managers. They usually also have responsibility to report on the progress of the project. In the end, the functional managers still control the project and have the say in how it is executed and who works on it. They maintain authority over the budget and schedule for the project. The weak matrix organization maintains many of the advantages of the functional organization approach. However, in addition, it does provide some additional project coordination, as we've talked about, improved reporting, improved communication. It maintains the resource and technical control advantages of the functional organization. In the weak matrix approach, some of the issues on coordination of project functions and interface with the customer have been addressed in a limited manner. However, many of the weaknesses of the functional organization remain. In return for the improvements in communication and coordination, the weak matrix organization may incur some additional costs because of the extra time spent on project coordination. Next up is the balanced matrix organization. In the balanced matrix approach, there is a project manager. The project coordinator from the weak matrix organization has been elevated to full project manager and given more responsibility. In this approach, the organization recognizes the need for increased coordination. However, the ultimate budget, schedule, and resource control is still maintained at the functional manager level. The project manager typically has some control over the day-to-day operations and basic technical decisions made on the project. He has more responsibility in tracking and reporting on the project and will have a responsibility to interface with the client to understand their needs. However, the functional managers maintain overall control and still maintain the ultimate authority to make decisions. Typically, the project manager has both a technical role on the project and his organizational role in this organization. The organization is called a balanced matrix because it tries to strike the balance between giving the project manager authority to run the project and still maintaining the advantages of the functional organization. As with any balancing act, there are gives and takes on both sides. The balanced matrix organization starts to address some of the weaknesses of the previous two organizational approaches. There is a single point of responsibility, and this person is responsible for working with the customer and understanding their needs. Because the project manager has more decision-making authority, there's improved communication among the team members and improved reporting to upper management and the customer. The balanced matrix organization maintains many of the advantages in resource allocation and job security. Although the project manager spends more of his time on the project than in the previous two organizations, most of the staff will still split time between their functional job and the project. In addition, everyone stays in the department and has a home when the project's over. In this arrangement, the project budget and schedule authority is still not clear. It's shared between the functional managers and the project managers. Technical control and staffing is also shared. This situation creates potential conflicts between the functional managers and the project managers over money, functionality, and staff priorities. For the project to be successful, these conflicts must be resolved on an ongoing basis. Next, we have the strong matrix organization. In a strong matrix organization, the organization fully realizes the need for a project manager and is providing the authority for the project team. In the strong matrix organization, the project management group you see here on the edge of the screen is often its own function in the organization. This organization typically includes both project manager and the administrative staff required to run the project. In many cases, the project manager and his staff are full-time dedicated to their roles on the project. In this organization, the project manager is fully responsible for the scope, schedule, and budget on the project. He's responsible for client interfaces, reporting, and decision-making. To some extent, he's independent of the function managers with regard to the project and its specifications. However, the functional managers still have control over staffing and typically can exert control over the technical specifications through their staff. The strong matrix organization approach provides a real focus on the project, but there is a cost. The cost being increased budget allocation to organization and reporting and loss of control by the functional managers. The advantages of the strong matrix organization are pretty clear. A strong single point of responsibility and much stronger customer focus. The authority and responsibility for budget and schedule management is clear and resides with the project manager. Project reporting to management and to the customers improves since there's one person responsible. The strong matrix approach seeks to maintain resource flexibility by having the project staff continue to work in their function when they're not working on the project. However, with the project manager having more control over their time, some of the flexibility and cost savings in the previous organization structures has gone away. Some of the improved control and focus on the project gained in the strong matrix organization does come at a cost. Each project team member now has two bosses, the project manager and the functional manager. This can create a potential conflict on work priorities and time management. Not having a dedicated staff for the project means the project manager loses flexibility in responding to changes and setting priorities for the team. He must be continually aware of the functional needs and priorities. Another potential area of conflict is around the technical content on the project. Because the staff still report to their functional manager administratively, they must pay attention to his or her desire in terms of the functionality of the project deliverables. While the project manager technically has control over these attributes, he or she must recognize the competing interests of the function in this area. If the functional managers and the project manager do not work well together to resolve these issues, then it can create stress on the workforce as they were pulled in competing directions and must resolve the conflicts.